We have a very significant event to occur in Montgomery and in the state of Alabama on December 1st, Saturday. More to be said about that, but I want to put the 1st of December, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, into historical perspective. We've not talked a lot about it, but hopefully over the next 380 days, we'll be talking a lot about the bicentennial, not only the state of Alabama on December 14th, but the city of Montgomery on December the 3rd. The county is older than the city and older than the state, so they celebrated theirs last year, I guess it was in 2017. But December 3rd, 1819 was a significant date for our city as we came together. And then you fast forward about 136 years to December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, when we had the incident that has changed history relative to Rosa Parks and then the bus boycott. And then if you fast forward another 63 years, we now have the memorial to honor her through the state efforts by Lamar Higgins and others to designate December 1st as Rosa Parks Day. We all know that the background was such that she was working at Montgomery Fair, got off work, came out, and boarded the bus. At the end, we are going to have an opportunity to hear first-hand account from an individual who wrote a letter to her sister. She was on the bus. She was a Huntington student. And I think you will find this fascinating to experience, because I think you will hear from her a bit of history that maybe not is known. And so before we get into the opportunity for all of the organizations that have various activities scheduled for Saturday, and we want to be able to publicize those and to let people know what those celebration opportunities are, Chairman Dean, I know that I was 11 years old in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955 in December, and I don't know that you were even born yet.
I was born.
Okay. Well, why don't you bring greetings on behalf of the county and share a bit about what this really means to you.
Well, good morning. I first of all want to thank Troy State University for this venue, this edifice here. I see Rosa right there. Doesn't she look just like Rosa Parks? She really does. I just wanted you to know that Montgomery County believes in what's going on today, but I always tell people, and I think Reverend Henry heard me say this in his church, in 1955, it was their Montgomery, but today is our Montgomery. A lot of things have changed, but we can't forget what the Rosa Parks and those people during that time, what they went through. It was traumatic. I had a lady to tell me that she had to pay poll tax and had to do all kind of exams just to get a chance to vote. So it's so important that we capitalize on the past, but we learn from the past on what we need to do for the future. And Montgomery County is 100% behind what's going on in Montgomery. That's where we partner with the city of Montgomery, the state. I tell people all the time, they talk about how we spend money. Well, the city money and the county money is the same dollar, same taxpayers' dollar. So whatever our endeavors are, it is used properly and efficient. Some of the things that we've done to make Montgomery better than what it's been, we're going to continue doing that. So on behalf of Montgomery County, I just want you to know, and I see Alabama State University represented, Ms. Janice Frank, Dr. Janice Franklin. They have a lot of artifacts and stuff over there that I know you are welcome to come by and see all those things that they got. And they do also partner with Troy State. It's about partnership. So I just want to thank everybody for being here this morning.
Good. Thanks, Elton. You know, Elton and I have been involved in a number of situations where we have to go to the legislature and try to get votes. Very seldom are you all ever going to get a unanimous vote. I remember the first one I knew about was the Hyundai incentive package that we were able to do. But we are celebrating on December the 1st, Rosa Parks Day, really to the efforts of many, but primarily the architect and the cheerleader, the person that shepherded through is a gentleman by the name of Lamar Higgins. Lamar's been a friend of mine. He's a lobbyist. He's a board of trustee at the University of Troy University, and I've asked him to come and to speak about his efforts to get this designation, not for just Montgomery, but for Alabama, and then hopefully from that, the United States. Lamar Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a very humbling experience to be here today to be a part of this celebration, and I wish I could take credit for the bill passing unanimously, but I can't because I'm a lobbyist and I wasn't registered to push that. But through the efforts as a member of St. Paul AME Church, Mrs. Parks' home church, we did introduce the legislation, Representative Laura Hall in the House, Senator Vivian Figurs in the Senate. Senator Figurs' Senate bill is a bill that passed both houses, and it is unique in the fact that it did not receive one nay vote in the entire legislature, and that very seldom happens, Mayor and Mr. Chairman. And it was because groups came together, blacks, whites, Republicans, Democrats, men and women, and I think that really embodies the persona of what Mrs. Parks really stood for. When she sat down, she didn't sit down just for herself. Right. She sat down for the inequities and injustices that men and women face then and some still face today. So the Alabama legislature and Governor Ivey signing the bill into law makes this a very historic event, and I'm proud to be a part of the partnership with the city, the county, St. Paul, the Rosa Parks Museum, Troy University, Alabama State University, the Bureau of Tourism and Travel, and all of the entities that have come together to make sure that this event is one that we will all be proud of in the state of Alabama and also all across this country. Thank you.
Thank you. This legacy, as we know, continues to live on by the official designation of the holiday opportunity. We have the first, and anytime you have the first, that's very special. So we wanted to give everyone that is involved in this an opportunity to talk about what they're doing, why they're doing it. And we've got a number of organizations that it's in fact doing it. You've already heard Lamar talk about St. Paul's AME Zion. We have a new pastor there. She's been there 3 months. It's the first female pastor at AME Zion. Please welcome, if you will, Dr. Agnes Lover, who will talk about the festivities and the activities and the celebration and how you perpetuate the legacy of Rosa Parks at her home church.
Thank you so much, Mayor Strange, and acknowledging Chairman Dean. I am the pastor of St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church, and indeed it is an honor and it is a blessing. For this inaugural celebration, we have a number of activities outlined. The initial activity is a unity breakfast at 8 a.m. And we are encouraging the community to come out and also be intentional to invite someone of another race. We want this to be a meaningful experience with the focus being on unity. And our speaker for that morning is Mrs. Juanita Abernathy. So we are indeed excited about that. We also want to get our young people involved, so we're being very intentional. At 11 a.m., we are going to have spoken word from students of Troy University, as well as going all the way back old school. We're going to have a coloring contest. Yes, not just for the elementary, middle, and high school, but we're also going to encourage the adults to color as well. And then we have a puppet show, very family-oriented, that's going to have a message of self-esteem, unity, and motivation. And then once we conclude those activities, we will be transitioning to downtown, and they will be speaking of that. But then we want you to come back at 5:30 to St. Paul, because we will be unveiling the official Rosa Parks marker. And this marker is going to highlight Rosa Parks' spirituality, which I believe undergirded her and gave her the faith and the stick-to-itness to not give up her seat on December the 1st. So I am excited about this opportunity to serve, as well as partner with everybody in the community to make this a memorable occasion. Thank you so much.
Let me ask you a question. You
Certainly.
talked about the Unity Breakfast on Saturday at
Yes.
8 o'clock. Where?
Oh, 8 o'clock at St. Paul AME Church, 706 Patton Avenue.
We'll be at the church.
It's going to be at the
We
church.
need to make reservations, sure.
Oh, no, it is absolutely free. We're going to believe
we
that it's
love
going to
free.
stretch. Amen.
We love
So we are encouraging you to come on out and again, bring someone. Let this be a memorable celebration.
And youth are invited as well.
Oh, yes, indeed.
That's good.
We got to pave the way for the youth.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Doctor.
much.
You know, Rosa Parks didn't know about the SEC championship game. It's going to be it's going to be Saturday. Certainly, Alabama State University has played a significant role in the civil rights movement, certainly with Rosa Parks as well as Martin Luther King, Dr. King. And to speak about the activities at ASU is Dr. Janice Franklin. Doctor.
Thank you, Mayor and Chairman Dean. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I bring you greetings on behalf of our president, Dr. Quentin Ross, our 15th president of Alabama State University, the university at the heart of the modern civil rights movement. We are happy to be partners in the inaugural Rosa Parks Day celebration in Alabama. We want to celebrate the life and legacy of one of our own, our esteemed student, Rosa Parks, who attended our Alabama State College at that time, Laboratory High School, where she studied and walked the hallowed grounds of our historic campus. We cherish the accomplishments of our former student, Mrs. Parks, who with dignity and grace was a courageous freedom fighter for justice in America. Yes, her single act of quiet civil disobedience launched a national movement together with ASU's other faculty members, such as Ms. Joanne Robinson of the Women's Political Council, who ran off flyers on our campus announcing the boycott. Ms. Parks used principles of nonviolent social change that we still teach as lessons at Alabama State University. Our program will feature a special presentation in our Tullabody Fine Arts Building at noon, December 1st, with the theme of Remembering Rosa. Our ASU historians and our president will be there to discuss Ms. Parks' legacy and the role of ASU in providing fertile ground for emerging civil rights leaders who embrace the ideas of good citizenship and how to make a better world. We will feature Dr. Ralph Bryson, Professor Emeritus at ASU, as he remembers Rosa as a friend and associate in 1955, just that far back. And his personal reflections will be very important as we talk about her journey for civil and human rights, an up-close personal account. We will feature musical and dramatic presentations from our students and faculty at ASU's College of Visual and Performing Arts, and you've already met Ms. Courtney Coleman, who resembles so much Mrs. Parks. Would you raise your hand right there? So one of our students, and we're so happy to have her with us today. We have actual remnants from the building where Ms. Parks actually walked in her classes and studied, so this will be a very special occasion. We will gather at the closing of the program at the historic campus monument, which was placed there in memory of Ms. Parks by the women of the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, symbolizing her life as our former student, neighbor, and mother of the modern civil rights movement. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you about the culminating activity, which will be on Monday, December 3rd at First Baptist Church, where we will host the 63rd anniversary, following Mrs. Parks' arrest, where there was the boycott, and we will feature the great attorney, Fred Gray, who represented Mrs. Parks, and he will talk about the 89 people who were indicted and arrested as a result of the boycott. This is going to be a historic occasion. We're inviting everyone to attend. It's free and open to the public, and thank you very much
So
for
it's
our
going to be
participation.
on Saturday at noon
At noon
ASU.
at ASU at Tullabody.
That's great,
Mhm,
super.
Thank you. All right.
Dr. Ross would have been here this morning, He, in fact, asked if we might delay it a bit to this afternoon, but we all had conflicts this afternoon. He's working with the accreditation team over at ASU, so that's a significant situation that he needed to be involved in along the way. A very historic site right on Dexter Avenue, the Dexter King Memorial Baptist Church. Pastor Cromwell Handy has been working side by side. He's actually president of the MIA. So, Pastor, if you'll come and talk about your activities.
Mayor Strange and Chairman Dean, certainly it is indeed an honor to be here, and we're excited about what happened many years ago, but even more excited about the observation and the things that are happening today. And it's really good to hear that there was no opposition to having a day such as this. That means there is still hope for America. I'll let that resonate for a minute. At Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church, which was at that particular time was called Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. Many of us may be aware that at the very first conversations concerning a boycott following the actions that took place with Ms. Parks was in the basement of Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church, again, Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. At 3 o'clock on Saturday, what we'll be doing is having a bit of a rally-type gathering there. There we will have music that is reflective of the times back during that time and bringing it up to date to where we are today. We will also have our young people who actually will be there to tell a little bit about, in its entirety, the story of Rosa Parks from her beginning until where she was at that particular time and the days beyond. And certainly we will continue from that point to engage in song and music that again is reflective of the times and the things that were encouraging during that particular time. And of course there will be a spoken message concerning Rosa Parks, who we call, and I often refer to as the Esther of our times. And so we're reminded that a time such as that was one whom we know as Miss Rosa Parks. So as we continue, we will follow up with another set of songs that will take place, and again reminding us and putting us in the mood so you come just as you are. Again, it's free of charge. You don't have to, it's just the right price. You don't have to come and pay anything, but just come and enjoy the ambiance of feeling the experience of what it may have been like at that particular time in several rallies that took place in churches all over this city. Not only was Dexter Avenue a part, but so was Mount Zion, AME Zion, and First Baptist, and had Bethel and Holt Street Baptist Church. But on Saturday, you'll have an experience to come and be with us at Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church. After we have done that, then we will take to the street to come right on down here to the museum as an observance of how it was during that particular time. We look forward to it, we're excited about it, and we thank God for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Pastor. Appreciate that. I hope you got the message about the march. It's not going to be going up the hill, it's going to be coming down the hill. That's a lot easier than walking up the hill. At the 50th anniversary, Chairman Dean and I had the privilege of leading the procession. I just had leg surgery and it was difficult, but we walked up the hill, but walking down the hill will be a lot better. And the city of Montgomery will be front and center at that particular point in time. It's appropriate that the last person that will speak is Dr. Felicia Bell. We're in her house, and we're so appreciative to Troy University, Dr. Jack Hawkins, and all of the leadership here. Felicia's been with us, what, 2 years now, maybe? 3 years. Time flies when you're having fun. But she is obviously at the centerpiece. We use Rosa Parks Museum in so many ways from a historical standpoint and also a modern day standpoint as we teach our law enforcement what it's like to police in a historical city. So, Dr. Bell, if you would come and talk about your activities that you're going to have.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Strange, and good morning, Commissioner Dean. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to the Rosa Parks Museum. We're happy to have you here today. So we are excited to participate and commemorate the arrest of Mrs. Parks on December 1st, 1955, and the first Rosa Parks Day. So we're very excited to participate in that, especially with this being, as the mayor said, the site where Mrs. Parks was arrested. So we're looking forward to several things happening here at the museum on Saturday. And that includes extended hours of operation, so we'll be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. In addition, we will have a special exhibition on display, and you are in the gallery space now. So this exhibition features items, rare objects from our collection, including Mrs. Parks' original fingerprint arrest record, which is on display in the case here to my left. Also, we have some vintage magazines as well on display, artwork from Michael Mergen from Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia, as well as artwork from Mike Howard, who is from Phoenix City, Alabama. So I hope that you all will take advantage of this special collection and visit us on Saturday to enjoy that. So we will also have a program at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, December 1st, and that will include remarks from our Chancellor, Dr. Jack Hawkins, Chancellor of Troy University, as well as a theatrical presentation from our student. Her name is Adira Burton, and she would just have been thrilled to meet you. And so she will give a theatrical presentation and representation of Mrs. Parks. And we will then have remarks from the City of Montgomery, Mr. Michael Burdell, as well as from the police chief, Ernest Finley, giving remarks about how the city has progressed from the time of Mrs. Parks' arrest and also the role of the city with segregated buses and with the arrest of Mrs. Parks and generally harassment on the African American community during that time, and then how our city has progressed over the years. And then we will have a short film that was produced by students who participated in our summer camp, Architects of Change. And so this summer we had two little girls. They are twins, Brianna and Brooke Bennett. And they were inspired by their visit to 16th Street Baptist Church, and they were able to interview Ms. Barbara Cross, who was a survivor of the bombing at 16th Street Baptist Church, and she is also the daughter of the pastor at that time. And so they were able to interview her, and they created a documentary film. So we will show their film, and then that will be followed by remarks from Senator Doug Jones, who, as you know, prosecuted the Ku Klux Klan in that case. So we're excited to be able to share that with our audience on Saturday. In addition, we'll come back to the museum. We hope to include you in our event at 3:50. Following events at Dexter Avenue King Memorial Baptist Church, we will assemble here at the museum in the auditorium, and you will be welcomed by percussionist Deron Hale, who will follow the music to the auditorium. And we will have remarks from our Vice Chancellor, Mr. Ray White, followed by two selections from the Johnny Carr Middle School Choir. They will sing two songs that were Mrs. Parks' favorite. Woke Up This Morning with My Mind Stayed on Jesus, and Oh Freedom Let It Ring. So then we will have closing remarks from myself, followed by a presentation of remarks from the federal court, which is very important because, of course, there was the court case, and so we must show the legal aspect of the victory of desegregated buses in Montgomery. So we're looking forward to all of these events. Everything is free and open to the public, and we hope to see the public. We want to see everyone, all ethnic groups, as Reverend Lover mentioned earlier. So we welcome everyone to the museum. Thank you for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope that you have been listening to the timing and the coordination and the cooperative spirit that all of these events are taking place, one right after the other. And, you know, before I introduce the next piece of this, it just occurred to me and came over me like a great wave. I think what we're seeing today, and the fact that we have 102-0 vote to have this celebratory honor to Rosa Parks, shows that Montgomery and hopefully the state of Alabama is not stuck in history, that we are moving forward, that we are progressing, that we are today's Montgomery and not yesterday's Montgomery. But that's not to say that we don't have a ways to go, that we're building those bridges. We need to make them strong, and we need to link those up. In the city of Montgomery, and I know Elton will speak to the county, we benefit from the rich history and the rich tradition that Montgomery has. And we're benefiting by taking that and leapfrogging into the future in our technology along the way. And I just think that the ability for us to have this day in the celebratory fashion speaks volumes about where we have been and certainly where we have come from and where we are in fact going. In addition to all of that, if you stroll down or up Dexter Avenue, you will see at the Lower Dexter Park where the Montgomery Fair was, where Rosa Parks worked and got out of work and got on the bus, you'll see some banners. One in the view lights above. You have to look for it because you wouldn't be normally looking up. You'll see a picture of Rosa Parks at that time, and then you'll also see a very short quote, but a very significant quote, when she said, "The only tired I was tired of giving in," and that was her mantra. We have I think, historic opportunity today. I said this in the beginning. 5 or 6 years ago, I received a letter, and in it, I received a first-hand report by someone that was on the bus when the incident with Rosa Parks occurred. She was a student at Huntington College. And because I'm not a great orator, I've asked Michael Burdell to come and to share the essence of that letter, and once that happens, she will introduce someone that represents the legacy of Rosa Parks. So we can get a little spirit going here. Would y'all welcome Michael Burdell?
Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Chairman Dean. In 2014, just briefly, the readers of USA Today voted Montgomery the best historic city in the United States, even beat out historic Philadelphia, where a lot of good football teams are from. And the neat thing about Montgomery, from anyone who's transported here, who didn't grow up here, is that you can run into people who were part of history, who witnessed history firsthand. Chairman Dean was a student at Carver when the last leg of the Selma to Montgomery March was taking place, and against the instructions of the principal, he said, I've got to be a part of this movement. Up until a couple of years ago, a gentleman named Nelson Malden, who was the barber for Martin Luther King, was still cutting people's hair. Now, he's a good barber, and I'm sure the patrons went there to get stylish and everything, but really, we went there to hear firsthand accounts from Mr. Malden of all of the history that took place here. And as the mayor mentioned, the former head of St. James School shared this letter with St. James families of an account written by her sister. And as the mayor said, the sister was 19 years old, a Huntington student, had just returned from a visit at the doctor's office for sinusitis, and was sitting 3 to 4 rows behind the bus driver when she realized she was witnessing history. And she writes, "A white man was standing in the aisle holding onto a strap. The bus driver asked some black people to move. They all did except one black lady. She moved from her seat closer to the window. He asked her again to move, and she said, 'I am not going to move back.' The bus driver wanted the white man standing to have her seat, but the black lady refused to move. The bus driver's retort was, 'We will see about that.' He sounded very firm and got off the bus and was gone for a few minutes. The bus driver returned to the bus with 2 policemen. They took hold of Mrs. Parks with a hand under each of her arms. They took her off the bus with her feet dragging. I could never forget those tiny feet trailing this courageous lady. Now, that lady's name was Betty Bolton Weems, and she relates that she spent the next following decades admiring Mrs. Parks' bravery at those moments and hoping that she could somehow cross paths with Mrs. Parks again. That opportunity materialized in 1995 when Mrs. Parks visited Jacksonville, Florida, where Mrs. Weems lived, because Mrs. Parks was touring the country at that time, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the boycott. And Weems was able to manipulate to actually spend some time in private with Mrs. Parks and asked her, hey, do you know where Huntington College is? Mrs. Parks says, yes, I do. And it turns out that they did have a lot in common. But Mrs. Weems recalled the moments that they shared together by saying it was inspiring to be in the presence of this charming, well-dressed lady wearing her printed silk dress, black short coat, and black hat covering her soft gray hair. She seemed gentle, soft-spoken, friendly, and resolute. She told me about the conversation she had with one of the policemen years later who had expressed regret for his involvement in the arrest. I remarked to Mrs. Parks that I remember her tiny feet dragging on the floor as the policeman took her off the bus. She recalled that she was more concerned with her thoughts about what was going to happen to her. We were grateful for the time to review this dramatic moment in history. Now, Mrs. Weems shared with her family that her memories of the day of the arrest were so negative due to the treatment, or mistreatment rather, of Mrs. Parks, but that Mrs. Parks viewed it as positive given the path that it paved for the future. Now, we lost Mrs. Parks in 2005, but her legacy lives on. And this morning, we're graced to have Miss Courtney Coleman, a BTW alum and current ASU Theater Arts major, who is going to portray Mrs. Parks on Saturday to briefly reflect on the heroic woman who ignited the civil rights movement. Please welcome Miss Courtney Coleman.
Good morning. Good morning. Again, my name is Courtney Elise Coleman, and I am a junior at the Alabama State University. So I've been honored with the task of telling what Rosa would think about being honored and having her own special day. But I don't want to taint history, so I'm going to quote her today. I would like to be remembered as a person who wanted to be free, so other people would also be free. I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all people. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Chairman Dean to close us, but I want to refresh your hearing of the reading firsthand that Michael read. I'd never heard until I read this 5 years ago that Rosa Parks did in fact give up her seat, only to move closer to the window. And in the pictures that you see depicted, she is at the window. So obviously she was there when the gentleman got on the bus. But I cannot tell you how inspiring it is to me, being a mayor of a city that has embraced the history, that has embraced the opportunity that we have. And there's no better partner than I have had than Elton Dean. We have so much in common and so much in background, and he can speak for me and I can speak for him. And it's a real honor and a real pleasure for him to be here today and to give you your parting words.
You know, this has been Montgomery's great white hope. We're going to keep it real. I love to keep it real. And he is my brother from another mother. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But nobody can claim history in Montgomery. Birmingham has tried to do it. Selma has tried to do it. Memphis has tried to do it. But it all started right here in Montgomery, Alabama. MIA nominated Dr. King president in the basement of Mount Zion, AME Zion Church. That's where it happened. You know, the preacher at AME at Mount Zion was the assistant. He wanted to be the chair, but they chose Dr. King. They chose him. It's all about love to me. It's all about love. We have to love each other. And I tell people, I don't worry about who's the president of the United States. I worry about who's in charge here in Montgomery, in our state house and our elected officials. We are so much different as a community than anywhere in this world. We are, right here in Montgomery. And what I challenge each and every one of you to do is to help us sell the city and the county, this community that you live in. I want you to help us. Be proud of where you're from, because there's no other place like Montgomery, Alabama. There's no other people like the people in Montgomery, Alabama. The mayor and Mike and them can tell you oftentimes people come that will probably we accommodate them with shelter and stuff from tornadoes and stuff, how they say that our hospitality was so great to them. We've always been what we call Southern hospitality. We welcome them with open arms. It's not about the tax dollars that we make. It's not about that. It's about showing people that we do love them. And I want this community to be proud and look at someone other than your color or whatever and tell them that you love them and that you're there for them. That's what it's all about, holding hands together and making this community better. And we need to teach our children. Our children, I mean, you know, we have a lot to do. Sure, we have gone from there to here. Well, you know, we have still have a lot of problems in Montgomery. We talk about the youth. They have to understand what life is all about. The young lady there that's looking just like Rosa Parks. I mean, you know, we have so many young people that we need to be proud of, and we need to let them know the history. You know, when I was in school, Carver, Mike was talking about it, Carver, I had a course that they had called Know Alabama. That course is not in Alabama. It's not a part of the curriculum anymore. But those are the things that we are missing now. We need to know Alabama. We need to know Montgomery. So I welcome you. I challenge you to love your hometown and help us sell our hometown, sell the history of our hometown. Thank you.
Thank you.